Okay, so as the election sort of winds down, I have no idea when this video gets played, if there's been a call, if there's lawsuits. I think it's safe to say there will be lawsuits, right? I mean, we can probably go there. Um, One thing that is 100% certain in this uncertain times is that some of the people on Twitter, mainly the creators that you follow, are going to be insufferable jackasses over the next several weeks. And what's funny is I have heard from a lot more Democrats than Republicans, fans, people who are voting for Biden, annoyed at the just goofy, dumbass behavior from a lot of the creators. Um, what do you do? What can you possibly do? Hey there, this is Perch. The quick answer is get off Twitter. That is really your answer. Unfollow people who are jerks. And no, this is a funny one. I mean, in general, it's and this comes from many questions actually that were all the same over the last 24 hours or so, which is why do people act this way? And the answer is I have no answer for you. Other than social media likes to get people really wound up. It likes to encourage people to be their worst selves. You know that phrase, I'm living my best life? Social media kind of encourages you to live your worst life. That's kind of inherent in what it does. And that's the time we live in. And we've just come off of a very polarized, ah, sorry, very polarized, very intense, very angry election cycle, where both parties came to the conclusion really early on that they could raise a ton of money and really kind of spin up their base if they went all in that this is war and that the other side is not just ideologically different or has a different opinion, but evil, the worst kind of evil. If you are not voting for Joe Biden, you are a Nazi. And if you're not voting for Donald Trump, you are a socialist. You're a communist. You're a white supremacist if you're not voting for Joe Biden. How in the world could you live with the idea that you are a white supremacist racist? And if you're voting, for Trump, or sorry, if you're voting for Biden, then, oh my God, you're a commie. You're trying to take down You're all going to be homeless. That was the level of extremism that kind of came out of this election. So, big surprise, as the election has come to a conclusion, one side has to win. Although, again, based on when this video goes out, who knows who the winner is. I'm deliberately just going to roll this out, I don't know, like a week from now, and it'll be a funny time capsule for you. Right now, I'm sitting here. It is Thursday, 2 days after the election, and we'll see how right I am or how poorly this ages. It's kind of fun. Um, but what has started to come about is, and the questions I've gotten is like, what do you do for all these comic creators? I'm here to enjoy comics, and I've got these comic creators, people like Mitch Gerards and Kevin McGuire and others that are just acting like they some cross between they just won the World Series and a bully. Bluntly, their side won and they are losing their minds over it. Or Eric Larson, who's like unsatisfied with his victory, is basically doubling down on wanting to trash anyone who dared vote for the other party. What do you do? And it is funny. I'm not making it up. The people who are complaining to me more, and maybe it's just because the other side doesn't, you know, I'm one of those socialists. I don't know. Maybe the side that's complained to me more are the Democrats. They're the people who their side won, and they don't like to see their creators, people who they look up to, acting like crazy people. Um, the only answer there's only one answer here, and it's that you gotta unfollow. You have to walk away. These people are going to do what they're going to do, and if it's driving you nuts, you gotta unplug. You will be, and what's crazy is that we've kind of, this is one of, I think, the traps that social media does. And now, granted, Twitter and Facebook, these groups have never come out and marketed this way directly, but I feel they encourage this kind of behavior, or this stance, or this thought process. It basically goes like this: if you walk away, you're surrendering, you're giving up, you're a loser. You're if you don't keep going on our platform, then you're weak, you're soft. It's an interesting thought process because it definitely benefits the social media platform for you to be there. I mean, Twitter loses money. It is still a platform that is trying to kind of find its way, and it needs people. I mean, the disaster for Twitter. Here's the crazy part about Twitter: if every single person on the right decided, they don't want to put up with this nonsense anymore. They're angry because of Twitter censoring things, whatever it happens to be. They're leaving, and they all just disconnect their accounts. All of them. Twitter folds bluntly. Twitter vanishes into MySpace like behavior. The problem is people say things like, "I'm going to get off Twitter," but then they don't get off Twitter because Twitter is they're addicted to it. They're hooked. And so it continues. They're giving that platform the power to piss them off. But I mean, at the end of the day, I can play therapist here. I think that for a lot of creators, the election of Donald Trump was traumatic, more so than it should have been. I think they were then manipulated and scared by the media and by social media and by the news to, your fears are not just valid; they're super valid. It's like with it's like when the election was coming, and it's like, vote like your life depends on it, like your life depends on it. And some people have been able to come and kind of conflate this with saying, well, abortion rights are human rights. There's a lot of ways you can kind of turn that message into something that maybe try attempts to make some sense, but that's not how it was intended. It was intended to scare the living shit out of you so you would vote. That was why that was out there. It wasn't a nuanced argument of vote like your life depends on it because democracy is important and we all owe it to each other to have a hand in how our society is shaped. That was not the point. What the point they were trying to make was, hey, evil, Trump people are going to come to your house and murder you if you don't vote. That's where it was. And I mean, what do you do with that? That's a strong motivator. That's a strong message that's going to go out. That's going to scare people. That's going to tilt things. And so you've had a lot of people who have been fed on a constant diet of that. And so their side, they achieve a victory. It's really no different than a football team, fans of a football team who win, and they immediately go and they burn down their own city out of happiness. Who knows? Uh, that's what you've got here. You've got a bunch of people who are, acting like immature bullies and jerks and crazy people. And, they're going to keep doing that because, frankly, their follower counts do not go down. And that it's what they're doing. The reality is the vast majority of people who have really big names in this industry, they have an engagement level with their posts and their tweets that is actually really small. Now, I'm not talking. I mean, you look at the responses. You look at when they tweet something, but when they reply to another tweet, and you'll see very little. You'll see a couple dozen, and then many times it's within their own bubble. It's the same people that are responding. It's smaller than you think. And I say this to you for this one simple reason. If this is driving you nuts because you feel like a bunch of people are standing around pointing at you and laughing, at you, then I'll say the same thing to you that I said to a lot of these creators who felt like giant mobs of thousands of people were coming at them to harass them. It's not as many people as you think. It's a smaller number. It feels bigger. Social media does that. It amplifies things. It feels very large, but it's not. And the important thing to do is stop thinking about the platform, or if you're a winner or not a winner, or if you're a coward or whatever it happens to be, and think about yourself and your own mental health. And if something is driving you crazy and you have the ability to control the on off switch of that thing, turn it off. Seriously. If you do not want to see Kevin McGuire show up to taunt Republicans in your feed every day, stop following Kevin McGuire. Problem solved. There's a whole other argument, and people have had it to death about, should they be allowed to do this? And the answer is yes. It is a free country. Yes, they are allowed to do it. They are. Is it good business sense? Probably not. Is it a good way to treat your customers? Definitely not. But look, they don't care, and their employers are not stopping them. Nobody is making them shut it off. So the power falls to you. You have the power. By the power of Grayskull, you have the power. And all I'm saying is, whether you're left or right or independent or whatever the hell you happen to be, if something is making you insane, turn it off. Because in life, there's lots of things that make us insane that we can't turn off. I've had jobs that I hated, that I went in there and I couldn't stand these people, and I couldn't stand the work I was doing, and I hated every second of it. And until I got another job, I didn't have a choice. I needed that check. I needed to have that job. So I did not have the ability to just shut it off. The thing I had the ability to do, the power to do, is go look for another job. And I found another job, and then I got out of there, and I was happier. The same thing is true with social media. Nobody is forcing you to be there. Nobody is forcing you to put up with this shit. And nobody it should be telling you that you're somehow cowardly for disconnecting. This has nothing to do with bravery, standing up to things. You shouldn't have to endure pain. If something is causing you pain, get off of it. And by the way, this is the thing that makes people crazy. They call me a fence sitter, everything else. If you're bright, sorry, I'll just be blunt here. If you're bright, you'll recognize that none of what I just said is a fence sitting position. It's a mental health position, frankly. And the reality is, if Trump had won handily, you don't think that there would have been absolute screaming and insanity? Frankly, again, from both sides, you would have had people on the right wing acting like jackasses because their team won, and you would have had people on the left talking about how the world was coming to an end. Here's one more bold prediction, again, that might not age well. The reality is, we're in for a few weeks of legal challenges and absolute nonsense, destructive, chaotic nonsense. The winner of all this is going to be whoever emerges from it as a unifier, as somebody who's like, hey, we got to move on and work together as a country. That's going to be the person who wins. Because the reality is, all this has done is making people more angry, more pissed. And in 2022, at the midterms, it's going to be tough for the Democrats to get this level of enthusiasm to those midterms. And we can see it. You can see the proof of it with the Senate and the House races. They're going to have a lot harder time getting enthusiasm when there is no Trump to attack. Trump was an amazing unifying target of the left. With him out of the picture, it's going to be a lot harder to bring people back. And in these 2 years, if you have pissed off the right and given them the feeling that they were cheated and that nobody cares, and you laughed and taunted and all the rest, you are going to see a red wave in 2022. You absolutely are. That's just the reality of our politics. And I don't know, maybe if you're a Democrat and you're really happy Biden won, great, show some grace, because if you act like a jackass, all you're doing is encouraging the other side to come at you harder next time for revenge. And I will tell you again, if you're a Democrat and you do not want to see a Republican controlled Senate and House and governors redistricting the entire country, maybe now is the time to reach that handout, because in 2 years your life could be really crappy. Just saying. And on the right, like literally, I don't even know what to say anymore. What a mess. Look, if creators are making you crazy, unfollow. Do yourself a favor. You don't owe anybody anything. You owe yourself happiness. So look out for you. Ah, well. I feel like this is a lot of talking for a very simple answer. Somebody driving you crazy? Get out and get away. Problem solved. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening.